These are some of the reasons Sage 300 Construction and Real Estate is the most used system for contractors, real estate developers, home builders. Logged into the desktop. On the left, you can see the modules that my security gives me access to. On the right, you see my home page with a drill down capability. Based on my security, we can hide applications, hide features. If you need, you can set up favorites so that we can limit even further, so only certain applications, reports, or resources that are available. As we look at the drill down capability on each of the menus, you'll find a very consistent format where we can define tasks, set up inquiry reports, tools, and get to help. And as we move into each one of these modules, it'll be the same. So you can drill down. It will be a very consistent experience for the end user. When we look at the home page on the side, this is where we can define by individual user or type of user what access we want to give them to data. In this case, I've logged in as a project manager and I've pulled up one of my jobs. At the bottom, we show profit, cash flow, billing, contract, cost. At the top, we see links that take me to more detail. If I want to access more detail on the software, I just click on the link. So if I want to see what my cost code breakdown is, see what my budget, my commitment, my cost of data are. If we want to move further and look at the labor status, I can click the labor status button. I can see how I'm doing on my labor. I can look at insurance logs, see my vendor and my insurance. I can look at open invoices by vendor to see exactly what we have with A1 Electric. I can look at a billing summary, see where my schedule of values sits, where I look on cash receipts, and then I can, if I want, go look at a subcontract log. I can look at a vendor, the subcontract, what cost code or cost codes they're associated with, change orders, invoices, and the checks that we've sent. All of these are accessed from here. We can also get into things like RFIs and submittals, transmittals if we're utilizing the subcontract or project management module. So as we move into the actual module, what you'll find is a very consistent process, so that if we're entering data, I want to enter data into, say, a budget on a project, or I want to enter a direct cost, or I want to enter journal entry, we use spreadsheets. Spreadsheets are very consistent. We have lookup, so if you're not sure what a job number is, we can hit the lookup button. It'll give me access to the jobs. If I'm not sure what a field's used for, I can click the question mark and drop it. We get field contextual help. If I finish, move back into job costs, not for estimates, or I'm entering those, I can move down to the tools, and most likely, if I have an ability to enter, I have an ability to import. So I can manually enter an estimate. I can import an estimate from a comma delimited text file. If we go into direct cost, it's a job-based journal entry, same entry, look and feel. We've got spreadsheets. So you've got a nice consistent flow. Once your end users figure out how to use the data, how to use the software, you're going to find the experience is very similar. When we look at the database, we've got some options in this to actually add data. So if for whatever reason we want to come in and add a custom field, we can do that. And these are all the tables in the software. So if I wanted to come in and add something to a job, I can come in, find the job record, and add it there. If I want to add something to the vendor, I just hit the edit button on the vendor. It opens it up. At this point, I can come through, decide what type of field I want, the size of the field, figure out if it's going to be accessed from ODBC, can I read, can I replace it, and then I add this and update the database. Since I'm not going to add that, it won't update, and I haven't added that into the system. When we look, also what you'll find is as we get into the software, there are different abilities to pull data and look at data. So we use inquiries and reports. An inquiry is a way of pulling data to a spreadsheet and utilizing drill down. So I'm going to pull up a typical inquiry. In this case, it's a project management inquiry where I show all my jobs, and then each of the columns is going to show different information for me. When I look at this project, first 4 columns are showing contract information on the revenue side. If I double click, it'll show me my schedule of values and the status of each line item. If I move down further, double click on the budget, it'll show me my cost codes and how I budgeted the information. If I go to the next screen and hit commitments, it'll show me all of my purchase orders and my subcontracts. The way the tool works is you can drill down. So if I pick one of these subcontracts and I double click, it'll drill me down and show me each of the invoices on the subcontract. If I pick an invoice and hit enter, it'll take me to the check. So I got to a check from an invoice on a subcontract on a project. In these screens, each column can have a different drill down to show information that's important. If you want to add information to the screen, you click a column header. It takes me right out into the database. So at this point, I can pull data from the project. I can take it from the cost that we needed. I can go look at any related table. So if we come out and say, I want to add a field and maybe I want to see the status of this, I can move down, find the status. Let's see if we've got that. There's my size. Come down a little bit further. There's my status. I hit enter. There's the status on here. If I want to add filters, I can base filters on any of the values, or I can come out and say, hey, take the status and go out and show me something that we use this logic with it. Also have an ability to define and add formulas. So if we go into the module again, I go to tools, I tell it I want to use a formula. Formula will give me the ability to define calculations and then use those calculations inside an inquiry or report. So to do a new formula, I tell the system where I want the data pulled from. And this is in the job, the project, and then I can use basic logic to add, subtract, decide, define, and do any type of calculations that I want. Those formulas are placed in the database, and then when I go back into my system, and if I want to add columns and reports or queries, I can come in and index, jump over, and say, hey, I'm going to go look out for my custom formulas. These formulas can be ones that are provided by the vendor, or they can be formulas that are written by you, the end user. So you have access to how you calculate, how you manipulate the data that's driven by that formula that's available inside inquiries, that's available inside reports. It's also used heavily inside the payroll module. A couple other items we have here is if you are deciding that you want to attach files, this is where I can come through now and actually attach a document, an email, or whatever I happen to need associated with this record. So you'll find that throughout the system. This also is used as an ad hoc reporting tool. So if you find the data that you want, you've added the data that you want, it's in the configuration you want, I just hit the Excel button and we'll pull the data that's on this spreadsheet and drop it right into an Excel spreadsheet. And so you can see exactly what we pulled here, just gets dropped off into my Excel spreadsheet. One of the other ways we get data out of the system not only is through inquiries and spreadsheets, but we also have reports. So wherever we see data that's captured from a cost, labor, subcontract control, however we're doing it, we can come out and pull those reports. So in this case, I'm going to go run a subcontract log that should give me detail. If I hit OK, it'll pull up. I can pick a job or all jobs. As I hit preview, it'll come out and show me that this is a log with detail. It's my specific job. It's showing me every one of the subcontracts out there. Again, it's what we looked at a little while ago. I hit close, tell the system I want to go to a range. I can actually go in now and limit the range of what I'm pulling. So I can say that's the job that I want, or that's a subcontract that I want. Pull that in here. If we decide, I can hit send it as an email. It'll turn it into a PDF and send it out to somebody in my address book. Last way we tend to look at reports is using My Assistant. My Assistant is a tool that will warn on data. It will tell us if we've got certain things going on inside my data. It's monitoring status of data in the system. Utilizes formulas. We can tell the system when to look, what to look for, and what to do if it finds it. So as an example, if I've got commitments in the software that have general liability insurance that are expiring, I can tell the system when to look for it and then what to send and to who to send it as we're looking at this. If we are monitoring our jobs, we can tell it to monitor a budget. We can notify project managers when the system goes over budget, as we're approaching budget. We can look at things from a daily perspective, weekly. The software ships with about 300 standard warnings across different modules. Those warnings typically will show up in Outlook. They'll look like this. This is a project manager summary. It's showing me all my cost codes that went over budget, all my RFIs are not returned, as well as my change request not approved. So we can use these as an ad hoc reporting tool that are telling us what's going on in the system. We can also deliver reports to project managers, in this case, on a recurring basis. So if we want to deliver a report, it can be delivered in a PDF, but it also can be delivered inside Excel. So this is a cost complete worksheet that we can automatically generate and send from within Sage 300. Many systems can generate Excel, but where this becomes unique is when we define the warning. I can tell the software that I want the first set of columns to come straight from the data, and so when this is generated, the data is fresh. I can also tell the system that when it generates, I want to add a data capture field, and then I also want to add calculations based on my data capture. So we can provide to the field, to people in the organization, people outside the organization, with active spreadsheets. So this could be used as a turnaround document for a project manager at month end. You could also define something that might do a work in process or schedule of values, all of those being delivered within the organization. We also can deliver outside the organization. So as an example, I've got vendor insurance. I'm monitoring my vendors, there's insurance certificates and the date their expirations, which will tell me things I need to work on from a compliance basis. This will also send outside the organization. So in this example, I'm sending my notification of a general liability and insurance expiration, sending it to the A1 Electric, including in here my insurance requirements. So we're providing them with a quick update on the status that's out there. So utilizing these tools, plus many others, Sage 300 is an excellent system for contractors, real estate developers, subcontractors, service, property managers. It's a combination of the modules, a combination of the tools, the capabilities that are resident in the software that make this the most used software in the industry.